Hi folks, welcome to this A2 PE video on personality. So really quickly, personality, you need to know a definition of it, and you've got one there. Combination of traits and characteristics that make an individual act in the way that they do. So traits are characteristics, okay? Traits are innate or genetic. They are long-lasting or enduring. So we inherit them from mum and dad, and they last us a lifetime. With that in mind, there is there is an aspect of psychological theory related to personality called trait theory. Now, because your traits are genetic, because they are fixed at your lifetime, Eysenck, who did the questionnaire linked to are you an extrovert, introvert, stable or neurotic, said that as a result of that, your personality is fixed, it's consistent, it's predictable, i.e. we know what you're going to do in a given situation. If you are a stable extrovert now, you will be a stable extrovert in 50 years' time. Now, I always say in contrast to that, but it's not a direct contrast, but we have interactionist theories or interactionalist theories, how it's sometimes spelled in various exams. They agree to a certain extent, but then say something slightly different. Because there's the word interact in there, there's obviously more than one thing at play, not just personality. They say that personality is a combination of the traits, so your dominant characteristics, and the environment. And because the environment changes on an hourly basis, sometimes on a minute-by-minute basis, your personality and your behaviour can change. So it's less predictable. It's not as easy to predict, okay? Now, just as Eysenck was a trait theorist, there are two dominant interactionist theorists, Hollander and Lewin or Levin. We're going to look at them now. So as we've just said there, both these two, Hollander and Levin or Lewin, are interactionalists or interactionists. Okay? Now, let's do one at a time. Hollander is the concentric circles model. He said something like this. We've got to view your personality like that. We're at the centre is your psychological core, and that is where your traits or characteristics are. But what you've got wrapped around that are what he called your typical responses. How do you typically respond in certain situations? And then wrapped around that are the roles that you play. Son, daughter, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, friend, teammate, colleague, employee. Each role that you play requires a different set of characteristics that you will display. So as your role changes, your personality changes. Okay? Hence why he's an interactionist theorist. Lewin or Levin, however you want to call it, put into a basic equation. B equals F, PE in brackets. B, I'll just abbreviate, behaviour is a function of personality and the environment. So again, he agrees with Hollander. It's not just about your traits. He identified traits as being the personality thing there, okay? But behaviour is a function of personality, your traits, and the environment that you are in, such as the roles that you are playing, the typical responses that you have. So these two, agree with each other. They just have different ways of expressing it, okay? There's also obviously social learning theory, okay? You did this last year. This is Bandura at AS, also known as observational learning. We learn through watching and copying. So there is an element of our personality, okay, based on what we see others do. So personality, we copy role models. Significant others, as they are also known. Someone we admire, we are likely to copy. Not just skills and performances, but also how they carry themselves, how they hold themselves, the traits that they show. So that also means there's an aspect of personality that is not fixed, okay, that is unpredictable, that is less consistent. Because as our role models change, as our tastes change in role models, even as the role models develop themselves, we might still copy them, not copy them, and that is going to change our personality as well. Finally, Okay, there are things about how good we are at measuring or assessing personality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write green for good, red for not quite so good. So questionnaires. We could use a questionnaire such as iSense EPI in order to measure your personality. Okay, and there are definite pros of doing that. They're just a few common advantages of a questionnaire. They're used in talent ID programs, they're quick to complete, and they can be self-administered, okay? We could also do observations, so you get a psychologist to go down and watch someone, and not watching their performance as a performer, but watching them in terms of their personality, you know, their leadership, their communication, you know, levels of aggression, things like that. What are the advantages of observations? Well, you see the athlete in the actual sports setting as opposed to sat in a room filling in a questionnaire. Also, if you've got a psychologist watching a performer, it's going to be unbiased because this isn't something that they're filling in about themselves. This is someone unrelated to them, okay, completing an observation. So there's going to be less bias in that process. I can also collect physiological data. Now, heart rate, sweating, blood pressure, things like that. I go, well, what's that telling us? Well, you know, your heart rate before a performance can tell us how you're psychologically responding to that situation. Are you sweating a lot? Is your blood pressure high? Okay, is this because you are getting worried, panicky, or is it because you're nice and calm? So it's telling us about your personality. What the obvious advantages of data is I can plot it, I can chart it, I can tabulate it. I can then compare it maybe to other athletes, but maybe to you last week. Okay, maybe to you yesterday. So we can see how you're responding to various situations, how your personality is dealing with a situation. But then there's obviously going to be disadvantages of each of these methods. The key problems with questionnaires, number one is social desirability. What we mean by that is you lying, but not lying in a bad way, but you putting an answer down that you think you should, not how you actually feel. Okay, it happens a lot when someone asks you if you've watched a TV program and you haven't, but you automatically say yes because you want to please the other person. You want to. They look at you as if they want you to say yes, so you say yes. So we do that sometimes. We do that in questionnaires. We put down what we think we should and not what we actually feel. We might misread the question, or misinterpret the question, in which case we put an incorrect answer down. Also, think back to the iSense questionnaire. Apparently that gets to the root, or the actual personality type that you are, using 57 yes/no questions. Well, that's a bit of a big ask, isn't it? You know, it's a bit vague. 57 yes/no questions to analyse something as complex as your personality type. So sometimes the questions are a little bit too vague. With regards to observations, you going down to watch, your psychologist going down to watch a performer, there's something called the halo effect, i.e., I've mentioned, you know, one of the advantages is it should be unbiased. But if you really like this person as a performer, you think they're brilliant, okay, you might go down and watch them and put a halo above their head. Whatever they do, they can do no wrong in your eyes. So that has led to a slightly unbiased opinion of that performer. Equally, it can go the other way. Let's say you don't like this person, you've read about them in the media, you've seen them on TV, you've seen aspects of them that you don't like. You might therefore be particularly tough on this person. So it can have a halo effect. Observations are very, very time consuming. You've got to go down and watch this person for hours to get to the root personality assessment of this person. And the other thing, if this person knows they are being observed by you, they may modify their behaviour. So they might do things that they wouldn't normally do, in which case it's a waste of time because you're not seeing their actual proper personality type. Finally then, the key disadvantage to this physiological data is, why is the data changing? Can you be sure that their heart rate has increased because they are nervous or worried or anxious about something, or because they've done a proper warm-up and they're ready to go? Has it increased because that is their personality type and they're reacting to the situation, or because they've had a release of adrenaline because of its anticipatory heart rate response? Similarly, the same with the blood pressure and sweating. Unless you can say definitely, oh no, that's a change in heart rate because of their personality type and not because of something physical that they've done, it's very difficult to use that data accurately. So there is an issue there regarding that. Hope you found this video useful, folks. Watch it as many times as you need to. This covers key aspects of theories around personality.